right, and we're back. But forewarning, this week was not my best reading week. I will say though, today is Sunday and I am on track to finish 2 books by tomorrow. But yeah, this week was not the reading week for me. I read here and there, but I didn't actually finish a book. So I decided, actually, I have nothing to give them in terms of reading. And while I have written, I can't give much in terms of a progress update on my writing. So I thought, oh, can I just skip the weekly reading vlog? But then I actually did do something this week, which was like get my shelves in order. I know that you guys see them in the cameras and they look super sweet, but believe me, past this was kind of a mess. I had a stack of books on my floor and there was a whole shelf that you guys never see on cameras that was just not working out. But I've sorted everything, and while you watch me, I don't think you actually have ever seen like the full glory of my bookshelf. So I thought that today would be great to give you guys a bookshelf tour while I get my reading life in order. Yeah, so today you guys will just see my bookshelf tour. I don't think I have 500 books, even though it seems like it, and I'm pretty sure people assume that I do. I don't think I have 500 books. I think I'm very much nearing 500, and I very much might get there by the end of the year. I don't think that's a question. I probably will get there by the end of the year, but I think I am just under 400 or maybe just over it. It's been a while since I've done an inventory, but yeah, you know what? I think once you get to a certain point, yeah, you're losing track of books very, very easily, which is the point that I'm at. But yeah, let's go for a nice bookshelf tour and let me show you guys the loves of my life. Let's go. So this is the very first shelf in my room. It's at the edge of my room because initially this shelf was really just for like my trinkets. It was for my lotions, my perfumes, my glasses, just all the normal things you'd expect a girl to have in her room. But now there are only 2 actual spots delegated for those things because I was running out of space for actual books in my room. So I started to put the books in this shelf. So now we only have 2 spots for the actual delegated things, but that's okay. Here is my Akatar shelf because it will always hold a special space in my heart. And here we start to like see like books which I've been gifted by publishers from collaborations and such. Like this shelf has a lot of Mills and Boon and I love them. They're romance, which is not my like classic reads, but I still love them all the same. Like yeah, so these are gifted from Mills and Boon and also from other collaborations that I've done with other authors. Now this is my Charles Dickens shelf because yes, I do love a bit of classical books. Here are just like a lot of like cheesy Christian romances because they can be so cute, and also just a random book for, you know, a random fantasy. And then here we have, you know, more gifted items from more collaborations, more events. And here we have like just a bunch of random books that honestly, they're just here because I ran out of room. Except for this was very, very intentional because it's part of a series that I love. And A Dark and Harmless Star is just a book that looks really interesting. So those were intentional. The other few, they were random. So yeah, this is the very, very first shelf in my room at the edge, so it's not really part of like my library, like my book corner, but I love it all the same. Next, we actually enter Shelley's book corner, Shelley's library, where I hold most of my books. Now, at the top of this primary shelf is a chess set and a birthday card that I got from like my team at church, which I love. And the very, very first shelf is my Percy Jackson shelf because as we now know, I am now a Percy Jackson stan. So these are all the books that I currently have. No, I've not read everything, but if you've been watching my vlogs and my videos, then you know I've read the original series and I'm working up the courage to read the rest. The next shelf is the Grishaverse shelf because yes, I'm also in love with the Grishaverse. And we have like daggers and stuff that I've collected from book subscription boxes, and I feel they fit the vibe. Next, we go through the next shelf, and that's the Bridge Kingdom, a series I started early this year. I only have to read the final book, but when I tell you I've already fallen in love, so I needed it to have its own shelf. After that, we only have 2 bottom shelves left, and these were more so for like the leftover bookish items because they just had nowhere else to go. So yeah, this is the very, very first shelf in Shelley's reading corner. Now we start on the official big shelves, and yes, my shelves are color coordinated, so let's look at the whites. This also holds like my mugs that I also got from book subscription boxes. But yeah, here you see like a lot of like V. Schwab, Holly Black, a lot of like YA, and this is really where I started my reading journey, I would say, for like a lot of the books on here, and I love them. And then continuing on with the color scheme, we go from the tans to the yellows and a bit of orange. And with this shelf, I also have a lot of my snow globes because I get a snow globe for every city that I travel to, which is why it's one of my favorite shelves like ever in my room. Simply because it reminds me of like the places I've gone to, and those are just great, absolutely great memories. This shelf also has like classics, so here you'll see like some Shakespeare. Like I have a lot of Shakespeare, even though I haven't read all of them. I used to work in a museum and I got them for a good deal. And here we also have like some Jane Austen, some Bronte, and even like some Penguin Orange backs because I love an educational read every now and then. But yeah, this is like the tan yellow shelf. And next we're just going to go a shelf lower, and this is where we'll find the reds, a bit of pinks, and then we go into like the purples and straight into the dark blues. It's so funny. So I got this Sherlock Holmes when I went to visit my brother in Bristol when he was still in uni, and it's still one of my favorite sets ever. So in love. And the store was super cute, super quaint, and the owner of the store was really sweet as well. So we don't have too many purples, but I will say that the story behind why I have 2 Trader-Born books is absolutely hilarious, and it's happened to me multiple times before, but that's a story from another day. But yeah, I don't have too many purples, and then we go straight into like the dark blues, and Carve the Mark is one of my favorite books, like one of my favorite series as well. I feel like it's underappreciated, and yes, I do have 50 Shades of Grey because we were all in that phase at one point in time. This shelf also has like a bunch of buttons that I've collected from different events like weddings, retreats, conferences. Once again, I keep them for the memories and I love them. But after that, we go to the bottom shelf, and this shelf has more blues, and this shelf always makes me laugh because I've read very few books on this shelf. But I do come to it a lot because it has my candles, and I'm a candle type of girl, as in a candle every night type of girl. Yes, I know I'm a fanatic of a lot of things, but who cares? We're meant to enjoy this life, and that's exactly what I'm doing with all the things that I love, including my books and my candles. The next shelf is the green shelf, and I don't have much greens, but I think that's because publishing doesn't actually release that many green books out there. I haven't seen many green books, but for the green books that I have, I really do enjoy them. I feel like, one, their covers are stunning, and also the content of the books are great. But yeah, these are like such cute books. I feel like they're understated, which is another reason that I really like them. And from the greens, we go straight into like dark greens and then straight into blacks. Now, there's a set of books here that I absolutely love. They're probably one of my favorite books ever. They should have a shelf of their own. I'm gonna figure it out. And that is The Queen of All That Dies, The Queen of All Traitors, and The Queen of All That Lives by Laura Thalassa. Seriously, one of my favorite series ever, and it's one of the best series, I would say, personally. And these little containers that you see on this shelf hold my tea because I am a tea lover, so I like to have quick access to my tea so I can really just make a nice cuppa before I start reading and getting into it. And now that we've gone through that shelf, we can finally see the very last rung of this bookcase, which is just the blacks. Like, honestly, this is really just the case where anything that's left goes to the bottom. I won't even lie. And it doesn't mean I don't love the books. It just means that you're black and, there are no more space for you. So this is where you go. So it's a lot of like the black cover books. And because like I don't have room, I also put my book sleeves on here as well, because where else would you go? But yeah, this is like everything in my very first shelf in my book corner. Like, how amazing is that? Next is my second favorite shelf, and that is my sprayed edge and stencil edge shelf. This has all the sprayed and stencil edges that I've collected from book subscription boxes and just special editions that I find in store, online, everywhere. And so obviously you can see why I love it so much. So we stick with the color coordination. We're starting with our blacks, going into our blues, and I've read nothing on this shelf, which yes, I find so hilarious, but I get them and I don't read them, but they're pretty, so can you even blame me for adoring them so much? And then we go to this next shelf, and yes, I've read Legendborn. Don't ever deign to think that I have not read Legendborn, but it's the only thing on the shelf that I've read, so maybe you can criticize me for that part. Now on this shelf, I've read very few. I've only read Guild, the very first book, and my review is posted on my page, so you can check that out. Now this shelf I feel a bit more prouder about because I've read, obviously, Daughter of the Moon Goddess and Heart of the Sun Warrior. Now you will notice that I have 3 copies of the Heart of the Sun Warrior, but that's because one I pre-ordered, one I got from a book box, and one I was gifted by the publisher. So honestly, I guess I was just quite lucky, and I'm super happy because look how great they all look together. Honestly, some of the most beautiful covers I've ever seen in my life, and I love it so much. And I also just love the story as well. It's stunning in every which way. Oh, part of me just thinks I should make this entire shelf just for Heart of the Sun Warrior and Daughter of the Moon Goddess and remove all the other books, but I don't have any other copies, so there's no need for that. But yeah, the thought was there. Next, we have the Gilded ones and the Merciless ones, and I also have a Magic Steeped in Poison and its sequel of Venom Dark and Sweet on this shelf as well. And I love those because they were just so beautifully written. And the other 2 books on this shelf, I can't say I've read, but you know, at least their stenciled and sprayed edges are pretty. Now, the bottom shelf I feel better about because I've read a lot of the books on this shelf, because this bottom shelf is mainly Karen McManus because I love YA thrillers and I honestly just love her, and she is such an amazing writer. So the first one would have been One of Us is Lying, Nothing More to Tell. 2 Can Keep a Secret, I believe. What would this one have been? I cannot remember. I know one would have been The Cousins, and one is You'll Be the Death of Me, I believe that would be. Yes, I'm right. And those other 2 books, I bought them because they sounded cool, but no, I have not read them. I will eventually, guys. You guys know the drill when it comes to TBRs. They'll get read eventually. But yeah, this is my stenciled and sprayed edge shelf, and I absolutely adore it. I mean, who else could resist such a beautiful shelf? And what's even better is that it's next to my absolute favorite shelf. And that shelf is my BIPOC shelf. So every book on this shelf is written by a BIPOC author, and you guys know I'm all about reading diversity and diversifying your shelves. So this shelf is actually my favorite. One, because it's BIPOC, but also because every book here is stunning in terms of like its cover, its story, every part of it is just absolutely amazing, which is why it is my favorite shelf. We're keeping with the color scheme, so yes, we start with white, but then we go from like tan to pink, and then like, you know, from pink to red, obviously. Yes, I have 2 copies of the Blood Gift, but that's more so because I pre-ordered and requested, you know, a gifted copy, and I got it. And then we go from like the reds to like oranges to yellows. And one thing I will say about this BIPOC shelf is I've read majority of the books on this shelf, so I'm very proud of myself for doing such, because I cannot say that for a lot of the books or a lot of the shelves. Like, it's really just scattering when it comes to like my ratio of to be read and actually read. Yeah, it's very hilarious. Next, we go to like the green shelf, the green going into the blues. And also here I have like a lot of keychains from like travels, graduations, weddings, all that fun stuff. You guys know I love my memories. Yeah, so let's get back to books. Yes, we go from like our green. Some of my favorite books are on this shelf, like, you know, Skin of the Sea and Truly It's Great. And then we go to like the blues, and I feel like blue covers are honestly like so stunning. I feel like they will grip me in and pull me in no matter what it's actually about, because their covers are always so gorgeous. And we go even lower. Now we continue on with the blues, and I always say that blues are hard to like sort because their tones and like their increasing variation makes it hard to actually, you know, find out which goes before the other when it comes to like organizing by color, but I do my best. But yeah, we go from blues to purples, and purples are another one of like my favorite types of covers because I feel like they're just soft and beautiful in a way that can't be described. Like, these are some of my favorite covers. Like, and then we have more purples, and then we go into like a bit of randomizing here. So it's like kind of green, but it has yellow and black. So I kind of stick it to the blacks and then just continue on, and that's, you know, that kind of feel and just continue on with doing black in this row. So the remainder of this row is simply like black covers that have like color in them that I can't really distinguish. Now the very bottom row has like a lot of my notebooks and, you know, my Bibles and stuff like that, because I take a lot of notes. And for those who don't know, I am a Christian. I'm a devout Christian. So yes, I'm always doing Bible study. So I really just have a whole shelf kind of dedicated. And since this is my favorite bookcase, it just made sense to include it here. But yeah, moving on, we go to the shelf right next to the BIPOC shelf, which is one of the small shelves again. And at the top, we kind of really just keep on with the wide color scheme, of course, because we love our color scheming. And here we have more Bible and a lot of like theological books, like a lot of C.S. Lewis, you know, and just a lot of like spiritual books, because like I said, devout Christian, and so I love edifying myself and reading a lot of Christian books. And then we have a lot more white in this shelf, but this shelf has a lot of like non-fiction, which differs from like the other shelves, which are mainly YA and fantasy. But yeah, a lot of like memoirs, biographies, or just books that help me to like increase my knowledge of like life and just philosophy and just like the world in general. So yeah, a lot of non-fiction, which is like strange for me. Then we go to our reds. And the reds here, once again, are mainly nonfiction. You know, you see, you know, a lot of things on economics here, because I was an economics student and I do love economics. But yes, there are some like fiction in here as well, because there was nowhere else it could go. I'm sorry. Like some things just don't have a proper order sometimes. But it is mainly like nonfiction, more so things that I can like grow from and learn from and educate myself on. For example, The Smartest Guys in the Room was about the Enron scandal, because, yeah, I needed to know more about that. I haven't finished it, but yeah, interesting read so far. And we have more reds, but this one is more so the fiction reds. We do have like nonfiction, you know, like Kleptopia and Tuesdays with Maury, but then yeah, there is a good amount of fiction in here as well, like A Darker Shade of Magic and Evil Star and such like that. But yeah, it's a good combination, and then we kind of like go into like the red black. So, you know, books that have a good combination of red in them, but for the most part are black. It's always hard to kind of classify black books that have like a touch of color in the spine, because I'm like, what are you trying to do? So yeah, we continue on with that. And then I don't know where my mind was going, but I think because like the blacks kind of ended up with some blue in them, and so I ended with some blue on this on this rung of the shelf. But yeah, this once again is a combination of like non-fiction and fiction, but mostly fiction if we're being honest. Like most of this is fiction, and a lot of these books are some of my favorites, like The Kite Runner, The Siren, like just some of my favorites. And then the last rung of the shelf is just a box from a Luma crate and items from a book box. Now these are beach towels, but I live in the UK, which doesn't have the best of beaches, so I haven't really had time, you know, to put them to use. So they're just still in their packaging. But yeah, guys, so this is the very, very, very last shelf. Like, it's not a full shelf, it's like a corner shelf, which is why I have like my sign, Shelly's Book Corner, on there. And I also have a calendar, because we need to keep up to date with what's going on in the world. And yeah, so I have like some blues and some greens here, alongside like my essential oils for my diffuser, because I just like making my room all, you know, nice scented and all that. And the books on here are some of my favorites, like Uglies and A Gentleman's Guide to Vice and Virtue, and even Adam Kay's book. Honestly, some of the books on this shelf are some of my favorites, because they're so entertaining. And yeah, I love me some entertainment, guys, because that's what reading is. And even The Master Magician, the End to a Great series that I read this year, loved it so much. And then we're going back to the next shelf. And the next shelf, once again, we're going to like the blacks that have a touch of color in them. And even the shelf after that, once again, black with a bit of color. Now, the funny thing about this shelf is that it really just has a bunch of random books on there. Books that I've read, books that are fiction, non-fiction, like The Hunger Games, I've read, I've loved. And then we just go down and we see like even more like, you know, mixtures of classics and educational books, and mostly books that I put to this corner because I want to give myself a reminder to read them. For example, The Mortal Instruments. I've had these books for years and I have not read them yet, but I really want to. Fourth Wing, you know, the Carissa Broadbent series. These books are books I put to the side because specifically I need motivation to read them, so I need them to stay really, really close to like where I normally read, which is around this corner. Yes, I've already read lore, but that's more so like here because I have nowhere else to put it. But yeah, guys, this is like the final shelf. This is my library. Obviously, you guys have seen all of this. And just know that these books are like the loves of my life. Like every one of these books, even the ones I haven't read, if I still have you, I intend to read you because I think that you're going to be a good read. And so I just keep you, and you're near and dear to me. Every single part of this library is near and dear to me. But yeah, guys, this is, my book tour, my library tour. I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you guys got some inspiration for how to design your books. If you wanted to do your books by color, by theme, who knows. But yeah, this is just how I do mine because, yeah, I just love how it is. And I love a bit of organization, even though the organization isn't the best because they're kind of scattered in terms of like theme. But either way, for the most part, they're organized and I love it. But yeah, guys, I hope you enjoyed. Stay tuned for like more book reviews, just more bookish commentary, just more everything, revolved around books. But hope you've had a good time. And if you did, be sure to like, comment, share. And if you haven't already, subscribe. Yeah, but until next time, see you soon. And yeah, here's just another glance of my books. Bye, guys.